Marcus shoved the woman's hands away from his baby. "Don't touch her." His voice cracked through the train car like a gunshot. Every passenger turned. Every eye locked on him, the desperate father, the screaming infant, the stranger who had just tried to take his child. But the woman didn't back off. She stepped closer. "Give her to me," she said. "Now, before it's too late." Marcus's blood went cold. What did she mean too late? 30 seconds later, his daughter stopped crying, and Marcus realized he had made the worst mistake of his life. Comment your city. I want to see how far this story travels. Get away from my daughter. Marcus was on his feet before he knew what was happening. His arm shot out, blocking the stranger's reach, his body positioning itself between this woman and his baby like a wall. Lily screamed louder. The sound tore through the train car, raw and desperate and endless. "Sir, I need you to calm down. She tried to grab my baby." Marcus's voice was shaking. "She just reached over and... I'm trying to help." The woman held up both hands, palms out. "Your daughter is choking." The world stopped. "What? She's not crying. She's choking. Look at her face." Marcus looked down at Lily. Really looked. Her face was red, too red. Her cry had changed. It wasn't the normal wail he'd been hearing for the past hour. It was higher, tighter, wrong. "Oh God! Oh my God! Give her to me, right now." This time Marcus didn't fight. He thrust Lily into the stranger's arms, his hands shaking so badly he almost dropped her. The woman flipped Lily over in one smooth motion, supporting her tiny body along her forearm. She delivered 5 quick back blows between the shoulder blades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing. "Come on, baby," the woman muttered. "Come on." She flipped Lily back over. 2 fingers on the chest, 5 compressions. Marcus couldn't breathe. The train car had gone completely silent. Somewhere behind him, a woman was crying. "Please," Marcus heard himself say. "Please, please, please." Lily coughed. Something small and white flew out of her mouth, a piece of the cracker Marcus had given her an hour ago. And then she screamed. A real scream. A healthy, angry, I'm pissed off and scared scream. The most beautiful sound Marcus had ever heard. "I almost killed her." Marcus was sitting now, slumped in his seat, Lily pressed against his chest. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. His whole body wouldn't stop shaking. "You didn't know." The woman had taken the seat beside him. Silent choking looks exactly like crying. Even doctors miss it sometimes. "I should have known. I'm her father. I'm supposed to..." His voice broke. "I'm all she has." The woman was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "My name is Elena." Marcus looked at her for the first time. Really looked. She had dark circles under her eyes that looked like bruises. Her hair was falling out of its ponytail. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. She looked exactly how he felt. "Marcus? Is there someone I should call for you? Marcus? Her mother, maybe." The question hit him like a fist to the chest. Her mother is dead. Elena's face changed. The professional calm cracked just for a second, revealing something raw underneath. "I'm sorry, I didn't..." "It's fine, everyone asks." "It wasn't fine. It was never fine. She died when Lily was born, 9 months ago." 9 months. Elena's voice was barely a whisper. "You've been doing this alone for 9 months?" "Yeah." Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. "And I almost just killed her by giving her a cracker. Father of the year, right?" Elena didn't laugh. She didn't offer empty comfort. She just looked at him with those exhausted eyes and said something that stopped his heart. "I know what it's like. To be so tired you can't see straight. To feel like you're failing every single day. To wonder if you're ever going to figure out how to do this. You have kids." Elena glanced across the aisle. Marcus followed her gaze and saw a little girl, maybe 5 years old, curled up in the window seat with a teddy bear, fast asleep, oblivious to the crisis that had just unfolded. Sophia, she's 5. Elena paused. Her father left when she was 8 months old. Jesus. Said he wasn't ready to be a dad, packed a bag and walked out while I was giving her a bath. Another pause. I spent the first year convinced I was the worst mother in the world. Turns out, I was just the only one trying. The conductor appeared at the end of the aisle. Everything okay here? We got reports of a disturbance. We're fine. Elena's voice was calm, authoritative. The baby had a choking incident. It's resolved. Should I call medical? We can stop at the next station. That won't be necessary. She's breathing normally now. Elena looked at Marcus. Right, Dad? Marcus nodded, not trusting his voice. The conductor hesitated, then moved on down the aisle. Thank you, Marcus managed, for not making it a bigger thing. Last thing you need is paperwork and EMTs when you're already running on empty. Elena pulled her hair out of its ponytail, then tied it back up, a nervous habit Marcus guessed. Where are you headed? Boston. My mom fell, broke her hip, emergency surgery. Is she okay? They say she'll recover, but she's 73. At that age, a fall is... He stopped himself. Sorry, you don't need my problems. No, tell me, please. Elena's voice was soft. I'd rather hear about your problems than sit here with mine. Marcus looked at her. What problems? Elena's jaw tightened. She looked out the window at the darkness rushing past. I buried my father 3 days ago. The words hung in the air between them. Elena. Heart attack. No warning. He was making breakfast for Sophia, and then he was just... She stopped, swallowed hard. Gone. Right there on the kitchen floor. Sophia saw everything. Marcus felt sick. I'm so sorry. He was the only one who helped me. After David left, my dad moved in, took care of Sophia while I worked, held everything together when I couldn't. Her voice cracked. He was supposed to have more time. He was supposed to see her grow up. He was supposed to... She couldn't finish. Marcus didn't think. He just reached over and put his hand on hers. Elena looked down at their hands, then up at his face. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Lily made a sound. Not a cry, a small, curious noise. She was looking at Elena with wide, interested eyes. She likes you, Marcus said. Babies like anyone who isn't panicking. Elena almost smiled. Can I hold her? I promise I'll give her back. Marcus hesitated for only a second. Then he handed Lily over. Elena took her with the ease of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. She settled Lily against her chest, one hand supporting her head, and began to rock gently. Hey there, sweet girl, she murmured. You gave your daddy quite a scare, didn't you? Lily blinked up at her. Then, impossibly, she smiled. Marcus felt something crack open inside his chest. She's falling asleep. 15 minutes had passed. Elena was still holding Lily, still rocking gently, humming something low and soft under her breath. What is that song? Elena looked up. Oh, it's something my father used to sing. His mother taught it to him in Puerto Rico 60 years ago. He sang it to Sophia every night. Her voice wavered. I didn't even realize I was humming it. It's beautiful. It's completely off key. I have a terrible voice. Lily doesn't seem to mind. They both looked at the baby, who was now completely asleep. Her tiny fingers curled around a strand of Elena's hair. She's beautiful, Marcus. She looks just like... Elena stopped. Sorry, I almost said something stupid. Like who? I was going to say she looks like you. But that's not right, is it? She looks like her mother. Marcus felt the familiar ache in his chest. Yeah, she has Julia's eyes, her nose, her chin. He paused. Sometimes it's hard to look at her. Because she reminds you of what you lost. Because she reminds me of what she lost. A mother. A whole family. Everything Julia wanted to give her. Elena was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "My mother left when I was 6. Marcus looked at her sharply. She said she wasn't cut out for motherhood. Walked out one night and never came back. I spent my whole childhood thinking it was my fault. That I wasn't good enough. That if I'd been a better kid, she would have stayed." Elena. "My father raised me alone. He worked 2 jobs. He learned to braid my hair from a YouTube video. He came to every school play, every parent-teacher conference, every soccer game." She looked down at Lily, still sleeping peacefully in her arms. "He wasn't perfect. He burned dinner more than he cooked it. He had no idea how to handle my teenage years. He once accidentally washed my white clothes with his red work shirt and turned everything pink." Marcus almost smiled. "Sounds familiar." "But he was there. Every single day, he was there. And that's what mattered." Elena met his eyes. "That's what Lily's going to remember, Marcus. Not that her mother died. Not that you gave her a cracker that was too big. She's going to remember that her father was there. Every single day." Marcus felt something hot burning behind his eyes. He turned toward the window, trying to hide it. "Julia said something to me, right before she—" He stopped, started again. "Right at the end. She looked at me and said, 'Find someone who loves her like you love me.'" What do you think she meant? I thought she was talking about Lily. Find someone to help raise her. Find someone to be her mother. He shook his head. "But now I think maybe she meant something else." "What?" Marcus didn't answer. He wasn't sure he knew. The man from the seat behind leaned forward. "Hey, is the baby going to start screaming again because some of us are trying to sleep?" Marcus felt his jaw tighten. "She's fine now." "She better be. I've got a meeting at 7 a.m. I don't need—" "She almost died." Elena's voice cut through like ice. She was choking. She couldn't breathe. This man almost lost his daughter. So maybe show a little compassion and keep your complaints to yourself. The man's face went red. "I didn't—" "You didn't know. Now you do. Good night." She turned back to Marcus, dismissing the man completely. Marcus stared at her. "You didn't have to do that. Someone has to fight your battles when you're too tired to fight them yourself." She shifted Lily slightly. "That's what parents do, right? We fight for the people who can't fight for themselves." "Is that what your father did? Every single day, until the very end?" Elena's voice caught. "I just hope I can be half the parent he was." "You will be." Marcus surprised himself with how certain he sounded. "I've known you for 30 minutes, and I can already tell you will be." Elena smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. It transformed her whole face. "You're sweet, and wrong, but sweet." The conductor's voice crackled over the intercom. "Attention passengers, will be arriving in Boston in approximately 15 minutes. Elena looked down at Lily, still sleeping in her arms. "I should give her back." "She seems comfortable." "She does." Elena hesitated. "Marcus, I know this is strange. We just met. We're both a mess, but..." "But what?" "I run a cafe. Luna Cafe on Harbor Street. We're there most mornings, Sophia and me." She pulled a napkin from her bag and scribbled on it with a nearly empty pen. "No pressure, no expectations, just if you ever want to talk. Or if Lily ever wants to see someone who isn't panicking." She handed him the napkin. Marcus looked at the handwriting. Cramped, hurried, barely legible. Luna Cafe, Harbor Street. "I don't know if I can," he said honestly. "I don't know if I'm ready for—" "I'm not asking for anything." Elena transferred Lily back to his arms carefully, their fingers brushing in the exchange. "I'm just saying the door is open, whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready." Across the aisle, Sophia was waking up, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy, are we there?" "Almost, baby." Sophia sat up and saw Marcus and Lily. Her eyes went wide. "Mommy, there's a baby." "I know, sweetheart. This is Lily, and this is her daddy Marcus." Sophia studied him with the intense seriousness of a 5-year-old. "Why is he sad?" "He's not sad, baby. He's just tired, like us." "Oh." Sophia nodded, apparently satisfied. Then her face brightened. "Is the baby coming to our house? I have toys, I can show her my toys." Elena laughed, a wet surprise sound. "Maybe someday, sweetheart." "Promise." "I can't promise, but maybe." Sophia looked at Marcus. "Do you promise?" Marcus looked at this little girl, at her hopeful eyes, at the teddy bear clutched in her arms. Then he looked at Elena, at the napkin in his pocket, at his daughter sleeping peacefully after almost dying. "I promise. I'll try." The train pulled into Boston Station. Passengers stood, grabbed bags, shuffled toward the exits. The usual chaos. Elena gathered Sophia and their belongings with the efficient movements of a practiced single mother. "It was nice meeting you, Marcus." She paused by his seat. "Take care of yourself. And take care of that little girl." "Elena." Marcus stood up. "Thank you. For everything. For saving her life. For talking to me. For... You would have done the same thing." "I don't know if I would have." "You would have." She reached out and touched his arm just for a moment. "You're a good father, Marcus, even when it doesn't feel like it. Especially when it doesn't feel like it." Then she was gone, disappearing into the stream of passengers with Sophia's hand in hers. Marcus stood there, Lily warm against his chest, watching until they turned the corner and vanished from sight. The napkin burned in his pocket. His mother was out of surgery by the time he reached the hospital. "You look like hell," she said when he walked into her room. It was nearly 2 a.m. "Thanks, Mom." "What happened?" Marcus sank into the chair beside her bed. He was so tired he could barely keep his eyes open. "Lily choked on the train." "What?" "She's fine. A woman saved her. A stranger. She knew exactly what to do." His mother studied his face in that way she had, the way that always made him feel transparent. "There's more." "What?" "You have that look. The one you used to get when you were hiding something." Marcus pulled the napkin from his pocket. "She gave me her address. The woman. Elena. She runs a café. She invited me to come by sometime." His mother was quiet for a long moment. "Julia would want you to go." "Mom, I'm not saying marry the woman. I'm saying Julia told you to find someone. Maybe this is what she meant. It's only been 9 months. There's no timeline for grief, Marcus. There's no right way to do this." She took his hand. "Go to the café, or don't. But don't let fear make the decision for you." Marcus didn't go to the café. Not the next day, not the next week, not the next month. He told himself he was busy. His mother's recovery, work deadlines, Lily's first steps, her first words, her first everything. But the truth was simpler. He was terrified. 3 times he almost threw the napkin away. Once after a night when Lily wouldn't stop crying, and he'd sat on the kitchen floor at 3 a.m. sobbing into his hands. Once after his sister told him he needed to move on, and he'd screamed at her for the first time in his life. Once on what would have been Julia's birthday, when even looking at the napkin felt like betrayal. But he never did. Some mornings, he would drive to Harbor Street, park across from a cafe with a blue awning, watch through the window. Once he saw a little girl with dark hair run outside, chased by a woman who was laughing. He drove away before she could see him. 1 year passed. Lily learned to walk, to talk, to say "Dada" with a smile that looked exactly like Julia's. And every night before she fell asleep, she hummed. It took Marcus months to recognize the melody. It was the song Elena had hummed on the train. Lily remembered. On the morning of Lily's first birthday, Marcus woke before dawn. He lay in bed listening to his daughter babble through the monitor. He thought about the past year, the loneliness, the fear, the weight of doing everything alone. He thought about Julia's last words, "Find someone who loves her like you love me." He thought about a stranger who had saved his daughter's life and asked for nothing in return. Then he got out of bed. He showered. He dressed Lily in a yellow dress with sunflowers. Yellow, Julia's favorite color. The color of hope. He pulled the napkin from his wallet, now worn soft from a year of handling. And he drove to Harbor Street. The cafe was exactly as he'd imagined from all those times watching through the window. Through the glass he could see Elena behind the counter. Her hair was longer now, braided down her back. She was laughing at something. Marcus almost turned around, almost got back in the car, almost convinced himself it was too late. Then Lily pointed at the window and said very clearly, "More." Marcus laughed. A real laugh. "Okay, Lily, more it is." He pushed open the door. The bell above the door chimed. Marcus stepped inside, Lily balanced on his hip, his heart pounding so hard he was sure everyone in the cafe could hear it. The smell hit him first. Coffee, fresh bread, something sweet baking in the back. Then the sound, quiet conversation, the hiss of an espresso machine, a child's laughter from somewhere in the corner. And then the scream. "Mommy! Mommy! It's the train man!" Marcus barely had time to register what was happening before a small body crashed into his legs. Sophia, bigger now, her hair longer, but with the same intense eyes, was hugging his knees like he was a long-lost relative. "It's him. It's the train man with baby Lily, Mommy. I told you he would come. I told you." Every head in the cafe turned. Marcus felt his face flush. Behind the counter, Elena had frozen mid-motion a coffee pot suspended in her hand. Her mouth was open. Her eyes were wide. For a long, terrible moment, Marcus thought he had made a mistake. A year was too long. She didn't remember him. She didn't want him here. He should turn around, walk out, pretend this never, "You came." Elena's voice was barely above a whisper, but somehow it cut through all the noise. She set down the coffee pot. Her hands were shaking. "I came," Marcus said. "It's been a year." "I know." "I thought you weren't." She stopped, started again. "I thought maybe I imagined it. The train. That night. I thought maybe I made it up because I needed it to be real." It was real. Elena came around the counter. She moved slowly like she was afraid he might disappear if she went too fast. Sophia was still attached to Marcus's legs. "Mommy, can baby Lily come play now? You said maybe someday. Is it someday?" Elena laughed, that wet, surprised sound Marcus remembered from the train. "Yeah, baby, I think it's someday." She stopped in front of Marcus, close enough that he could see the tears forming in her eyes. Close enough that he could smell coffee and flour, and something that might have been vanilla. "Hi," she said. "Hi. You look terrible." Marcus laughed. He couldn't help it. "Thanks. You look—" "Don't say I look good. I haven't slept in 3 days. The espresso machine broke, my supplier didn't show up, and Sophia had a nightmare every night this week. I was going to say you look exactly how I remembered." Elena's breath caught. "Marcus. Mommy." Sophia tugged on Elena's apron. "Can I show Lily my toys now? Please. I've been waiting forever." Elena wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "Forever, huh? A whole year. That's like 100 forevers." Marcus looked down at his daughter. Lily was staring at Elena with wide, curious eyes. Her tiny hand was reaching out, fingers grasping at the air, and then she said it. "Mama." The cafe went silent. Marcus felt all the blood drain from his face. "Lily, no, that's not—" But Elena was already moving. She reached out and took Lily from Marcus's arms, lifting her with the same natural ease she'd shown on the train a year ago. "Hey there, sweet girl." Elena murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "I remember you. Do you remember me?" Lily grabbed a fistful of Elena's hair and smiled. Mama, she said again. Elena looked at Marcus. Tears were streaming down her face now, and she wasn't even trying to hide them. She remembers, Elena whispered. How does she remember? Marcus's voice came out rough. She sings your song. Every night before bed. She hums it. I didn't recognize it at first, but then I realized it's the song you sang on the train, the one your father taught you. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. She never forgot, Marcus said, and neither did I. An older man appeared behind the counter. He had kind eyes and a knowing smile, and he was watching the scene unfold like he'd been waiting for it his whole life. Cass, you want to take your break now? His voice was gruff but gentle. I can handle the counter. Elena laughed through her tears. George, this is Marcus. Marcus, this is George. He owns the building. He's known me since I was Sophia's age. The train man, George said. It wasn't a question. Marcus blinked. You know about me. Son, I've heard about you every single day for the past year. Every morning Cass looks at that door like she's waiting for someone to walk through it. Now I know who. George nodded toward a table by the window. That was her father's spot. Go sit. I'll bring coffee. George, you don't have to. Wasn't asking permission. George was already turning away. Blueberry muffins are fresh. The little one can have the mini ones, no choking hazard. Marcus flinched at the word choking. George caught it. Yeah, I heard that story too. You're lucky Cass was there. She did the same thing for Sophia when she was about that age. Grape. Got stuck in her throat. Cass's father almost had a heart attack. He paused, his face clouding. Would have been fitting, I guess. Given how he actually... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Elena led Marcus to the window table. Sophia was already there pulling out crayons and paper from a box that seemed permanently stationed in the corner. This is where Grandpa used to sit, Sophia announced importantly. Every single morning. George still keeps it just for him. Marcus looked at the empty chair across from where Elena was sitting. Are you sure this is okay? I don't want to. My father would have loved this. Elena settled Lily on her lap, and the baby immediately grabbed for the crayons. He would have loved you. You don't even know me. I know enough. Elena met his eyes. I know you've been raising a baby alone for a year. I know you almost lost her on that train, and you didn't fall apart. I know you kept that napkin for 12 months, even though you were terrified to use it. She paused. And I know you finally walked through that door. That tells me everything I need to know. Sophia had already started drawing. Her tongue stuck out in concentration as she worked on what appeared to be a butterfly. Lily, you can help me, she said seriously. But you have to stay inside the lines. Grandpa always said that's the important part. Marcus watched as Lily grabbed a blue crayon and immediately started scribbling outside the lines. Sophia sighed with the dramatic patience of a 5-year-old dealing with a hopeless amateur. It's okay, Sophia said. You're still learning. I'll teach you. George appeared with coffee and muffins. He set everything down without a word, then patted Elena on the shoulder and retreated back to the counter. He's been watching out for me since my dad died, Elena said quietly. Showed up at the funeral. Didn't say a word. Just stood in the back and cried. Next day he was at my door with a week's worth of groceries. Sounds like a good man. He was my father's best friend for 40 years. They met on a construction site when they were both 19. Got drunk together, got in fights together, grew up together. Elena smiled sadly. He's the closest thing to family I have left, besides Sophia. Marcus took a sip of coffee. It was strong and bitter, and exactly what he needed. Can I ask you something? Elena said. Anything. Why did you wait so long? The question hung in the air between them. Marcus set down his cup. I was scared. Of what? Everything. He looked down at his hands. I was scared you wouldn't remember me. I was scared you would remember me and I'd disappoint you. I was scared that coming here meant moving on, and moving on felt like betraying Julia. Elena reached across the table and put her hand on his. I was scared too, she said. Every morning for the first 6 months I watched that door, waiting, and then I stopped watching because it hurt too much. I told myself I'd imagined the whole thing, that the connection I felt was just grief and exhaustion playing tricks on me. It wasn't. No. Elena squeezed his hand. It wasn't. Sophia looked up from her drawing. Mommy, why are you crying again? I'm not crying, baby. I'm just happy. You don't look happy. You look like when you watched that sad movie about the dog. Marcus laughed before he could stop himself. Elena shot him a look, but she was smiling. Thanks for the support. Sorry, she's just brutally honest. Yeah, she gets that from her father. The only good thing he ever gave her. The mention of Sophia's father shifted something in the air. Marcus hesitated, then asked, Do you ever hear from him? Elena's jaw tightened. He showed up once, about 6 months after he left. Said he wanted to try again. Try. I told him to get the hell out of my house. He hasn't been back since. And Sophia, she doesn't remember him. She was too young. Elena looked at her daughter, still drawing, still teaching Lily about colors and lines and butterflies. She asks sometimes why she doesn't have a daddy like other kids. I never know what to tell her. What do you tell her? The truth. That some people aren't ready to be parents, and that's not her fault. That she has me and Grandpa and George, and that's enough. That family isn't about who's supposed to be there, it's about who shows up. Marcus felt those words hit him somewhere deep. My wife said something like that once. Before we got married. I was worried about my father. He was never around when I was growing up. Always working. Never at my games or my recitals or anything. I asked Julia if she thought I'd be the same way. What did she say? She said, The fact that you're worried about it means you won't be. Marcus's voice caught. She was the one who was supposed to show up. She was supposed to be the parent. I was just going to be the backup. The support team. But you became everything. I had to. No. Elena's voice was firm. You didn't have to. Plenty of men in your situation would have handed the baby to their mother or their sister or anyone else who would take her. You didn't. You stayed. You figured it out. You showed up every single day, even when you had no idea what you were doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. Neither do I. Elena laughed softly. But at least we don't know together now. Lily had abandoned the crayons and was reaching for Elena's necklace, a simple silver chain with a small pendant. It was my father's, Elena said, seeing Marcus's eyes follow Lily's grasp. He gave it to my mother on their wedding day. When she left, she threw it at him on her way out the door. He kept it for 30 years. Gave it to me the day Sophia was born. What's the pendant? A compass. He said it was to remind me that no matter how lost I felt, I would always find my way home. Elena's eyes glistened. I don't know if I believe that anymore. Marcus reached over and gently untangled Lily's fingers from the chain. Maybe home isn't a place, he said. Maybe it's just the people who make you feel like you're not lost anymore. Elena stared at him. For a long moment, she didn't say anything. Then Sophia's voice cut through the silence. Mommy, look, I drew our family. She held up her paper proudly. The drawing was messy, chaotic, the work of a 5-year-old with big ideas and limited fine motor skills. But the image was clear enough. 4 stick figures, 2 big, 2 small, standing in front of what might have been a house or might have been a very ambitious box. That's me, Sophia said, pointing to the smallest figure with long black hair. And that's Lily. And that's Mommy. And that's... She stopped, looked at Marcus, then at her mother. That's the train man, she finished. Is that okay, Mommy? I wanted to put Grandpa, but you said he's in the clouds now, so I put the train man instead, because he came back, like he promised. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Marcus felt his throat close up. Baby, Elena said carefully. The train man Marcus, he's just visiting. He's not. But he came back. Sophia's voice was matter-of-fact. He promised, and Grandpa always said a promise is the most important thing. So now he has to stay, right? She looked at Marcus with those serious, intense eyes, waiting. Marcus looked at Elena. She was shaking her head slightly, mouthing the words, "You don't have to," over and over. But Marcus wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking at Sophia, at this little girl who had lost her grandfather and her father and was holding on to a stranger's promise like it was the only solid ground she had left. He was looking at his daughter contentedly playing with a stranger's necklace, humming a song she shouldn't remember. He was looking at the empty chair where Elena's father used to sit every morning for 20 years. And he made a decision. "Sophia," he said quietly, "can I tell you a secret?" Sophia's eyes went wide. She loved secrets. "When I was on that train, your mommy did something very brave. She saved Lily's life. Did you know that?" Sophia nodded solemnly. "Mommy told me. She said Lily was choking, and she had to get the bad thing out." "That's right. And after that, your mommy gave me a piece of paper with this café on it. Do you know what I did with that paper?" Sophia shook her head. "I kept it in my pocket every single day for a whole year. I looked at it every night. And every night I was too scared to come here." "Why were you scared?" Marcus glanced at Elena, then back at Sophia. "Because your mommy is really special. And I was afraid that if I came here, I would mess everything up. I was afraid I wasn't good enough." Sophia considered this with the gravity of a 5-year-old philosopher. "That's silly," she finally pronounced. "You're good enough, I can tell." "How can you tell?" "Because Lily loves you, and babies know everything." Sophia went back to her drawing, apparently satisfied that she had resolved the issue. "Grandpa told me that. He said babies are the smartest people because they haven't learned how to lie to themselves yet." Marcus felt something give way inside his chest. Something he had been holding on to for a year, maybe longer. "Sophia," he said, "I'm not going to promise that I'll stay, because I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to promise you something else." "What?" "I'm going to promise that I'll keep coming back, every time I can. Is that okay?" Sophia beamed. "That's even better. That means I can show Lily all my toys. One at a time. It'll take forever." "That's the idea." Elena was crying again. She wasn't even pretending to hide it anymore. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly. "I know. She's going to hold you to it. I know that too. Marcus, I'm not ready for whatever this is," he said, echoing her words from the train a year ago. "I'm still a mess. I'm still figuring out how to be a dad. I'm still grieving for a woman I was supposed to spend my whole life with." Elena nodded slowly. But I've spent the last year doing everything alone, and I'm tired, and I don't want to do it anymore." He took a breath. "You said on the train that your father was the one who saved you, that he held everything together when you couldn't. You don't have him anymore, and I don't have Julia anymore. But maybe—" He stopped. He didn't know how to finish. Elena finished for him. "Maybe we can hold each other together." "Yeah." Marcus felt the word catch in his throat. "Maybe we can." George's voice cut across the cafe. "Cass, we've got a line building up here. You want to help, or you want me to tell everyone the espresso machine is broken again?" Elena laughed, wiping her eyes. "It is broken again." "That's between me and God. These people don't need to know." She stood up reluctantly, Lily still in her arms. "I have to go. We're not going anywhere." Elena looked at him. Then she looked at Sophia, already starting a new drawing. Then she looked at Lily, who was reaching for her necklace again, with determined baby fingers. "Come by tomorrow," she said. "Both of you." "Elena." "I'm not asking, I'm telling." A smile broke across her face, the real smile, the one that transformed everything. "Coffee's on the house, forever." She handed Lily back to Marcus, their hands lingering in the transfer, and walked back to the counter. Marcus sat there, his daughter in his lap, watching Elena work. She moved with efficient grace, taking orders, making coffee, chatting with customers like they were old friends. Because they probably were. Sophia had finished her new drawing. She pushed it across the table toward Marcus. "This one's for you," she said. "To remember." Marcus looked at the paper. It was another family portrait. 4 figures. But this time, there was something else. A 5th figure floating above them in what was probably meant to be a cloud. "That's Grandpa," Sophia explained. "He's watching us. Mommy says he's always watching." Marcus felt his eyes burn. "You know what I think," he said softly. "What?" "I think my wife is watching too. From wherever Grandpa is. And I think they're probably friends now." Sophia considered this. That makes sense. Grandpa was really good at making friends. He talked to everyone, even strangers on the bus. Julia was like that too. Then they're definitely friends. Sophia nodded with absolute certainty. "Maybe they're the ones who made you come to the train, so Mommy could save Lily, and so you could come to the cafe." Marcus stared at her. He had never thought of it that way. But suddenly, sitting here in this warm cafe, with this strange little girl and his daughter, and a woman who had walked into his life on the worst night of his life, and somehow made everything better. Suddenly, it didn't seem so impossible. "Maybe they did," he said. "I knew it." Sophia smiled, satisfied. "Grown-ups never understand these things, but babies and kids we know." Lily had fallen asleep in Marcus's arms. Her tiny fist was curled around his finger, holding on like she was afraid he might disappear. Across the cafe, Elena caught his eye and smiled. And for the first time in a year, maybe for the first time since Julia died, Marcus felt something that he had forgotten he was capable of feeling. Hope. The sun was setting by the time they left the cafe. Marcus had stayed for 6 hours longer than he'd planned, longer than made any sense. But every time he tried to leave, something pulled him back. Another cup of coffee. Another story from George about Elena's father. Another drawing from Sophia. Another moment of watching Elena work and wondering how he had gone a whole year without this. "Same time tomorrow?" Elena asked at the door. "I have to work tomorrow." "After work then?" "I don't want to impose." "You're not imposing, you're showing up." She reached out and touched his arm just briefly. "That's different." Sophia hugged his legs again. "Bye, train man. Tell Lily to practice her coloring. She's really bad at it." Sophia. What she is. "But it's okay. I'm going to teach her." Marcus laughed. "I'll tell her." He walked to his car with Lily sleeping against his shoulder. The napkin was still in his pocket, but it felt different now. Lighter. Less like a burden, and more like a promise. He was halfway home when Lily woke up. She looked around confused for a moment, then settled back against him with a contented sigh. "Mama," she murmured. Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Not yet, baby," he said quietly. "But maybe someday." Lily hummed that melody, Elena's melody, the one that had brought them here. And Marcus started humming too. 3 months passed like water through open fingers. Marcus came to the cafe every day. Sometimes in the morning before work. Sometimes in the evening after. Sometimes both. He told himself it was for the coffee, for the routine, for Lily, who had started reaching for Elena the moment they walked through the door. But he knew the truth. He came for her. For Elena. For the way she laughed at his terrible jokes. for the way she remembered how he took his coffee, for the way she looked at him like he was something more than a broken man trying to hold the pieces together. "You're here again," Elena said one Tuesday morning, sliding a cup across the counter. "Don't you have a job?" "I took the day off." "Third time this month?" "Who's counting?" "George. He keeps a tally behind the register." Elena leaned forward, lowering her voice. "He's also taking bets on when you're going to ask me out." Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. "What?" "Don't worry. I told him to mind his own business." She grinned. "But for the record, Mrs. Patterson from the bookstore has $50 on next Friday." "Elena." "I'm kidding, mostly." She wiped down the counter, not meeting his eyes. "But people do talk. Small cafe, smaller neighborhood. Everyone knows everyone's business." "Does that bother you?" Elena paused, her hand stilled on the rag. "No," she said quietly. "It doesn't." Sophia came running from the back room, Lily toddling behind her. In 3 months, Lily had gone from barely walking to practically running, and she followed Sophia everywhere like a shadow. "Mommy, Lily said my name." "She said Sophia." "She did?" "Well, she said so-so." "But that's almost the same thing." Marcus watched his daughter crash into Sophia's legs, babbling happily. "So-so, so-so?" "Close enough." Elena laughed. The bell above the door chimed. Marcus didn't think anything of it. Customers came and went all day. But Elena's face changed. The warmth drained out of it like someone had pulled a plug. "Elena." Marcus turned to see what she was looking at. A man stood in the doorway. Tall, dark hair. A smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Hey, Cass." His voice was smooth, practiced. "Miss me?" Elena's hand gripped the counter so hard, her knuckles went white. "David?" Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. David, Sophia's father, the man who had walked out when his daughter was 8 months old. "What are you doing here?" Elena's voice was flat. "Can't a guy visit his family?" "We're not your family. You made that very clear 5 years ago." David's eyes swept the cafe, taking in the customers, the decor, the children playing in the corner. His gaze lingered on Sophia. "She's gotten big." "Get out." "Come on, Cass. Don't be like that." David stepped forward, and Marcus saw Elena flinch. "I just want to talk. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." "You don't get to ask for anything." Elena's voice was shaking now. "You lost that right when you walked out the door." Sophia had stopped playing. She was standing very still, one hand gripping Lily's dress, her eyes wide and confused. "Mommy, who's that man?" David's face softened. He took another step forward. "Hey there, princess. Do you remember me? Don't." Elena moved between David and Sophia, her body a barrier. "Don't you dare. She's my daughter." "You gave up that title when you left her in a bathtub and never came back." Marcus stood up. He didn't plan to. His body just moved. "I think you should leave." His voice came out steadier than he expected. David turned to look at him for the first time. His eyes narrowed. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who's asking you to leave." "I'm not talking to you, buddy. This is between me and my family." "They're not your family." Marcus stepped forward, positioning himself beside Elena. "You heard her. Get out." David's smooth facade cracked. Something ugly flickered behind his eyes. "Oh, I get it. You're the new guy." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That didn't take long, Cass. Dad's barely cold in the ground, and you've already got a replacement." Elena made a sound like she'd been punched. Marcus felt something snap inside him. "That's enough." "Or what?" David stepped closer, getting in Marcus's face. "What are you going to do about it?" "David." George's voice cut through the tension. He had come out from behind the counter, and there was something in his hand, a baseball bat, old and worn. "I think it's time for you to leave." George, stay out of this. This doesn't concern you. Everything that happens in this cafe concerns me, especially when it involves the daughter of the best man I ever knew. George raised the bat slightly. Now you can walk out that door on your own 2 feet, or I can help you. Your choice. David looked at George, then at Marcus, then at Elena, who was still shielding Sophia with her body. This isn't over, he said. I have rights. She's my daughter. You have nothing. Elena's voice was cold as ice. You signed away your parental rights 3 years ago. Remember, I have the paperwork. I have the court order. You come within 100 feet of my daughter again, and I will have you arrested. David's face twisted. For a moment, Marcus thought he was going to lunge forward. Every muscle in his body tensed, ready to move. But then David laughed. A bitter, ugly sound. You always did think you were better than me, Cass. You and your perfect little cafe and your perfect little life. He backed toward the door. But let me tell you something. You're nothing without someone to take care of you. First daddy, now this guy. You'll never be able to stand on your own 2 feet. He pushed through the door and was gone. The cafe was silent. Every customer was staring. Sophia was crying quietly, her face pressed against Elena's hip. Marcus reached out and put his hand on Elena's shoulder. Are you okay? Elena was trembling. Her whole body was shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. She couldn't finish. I need to go. Marcus gently took her hand. Go to the back. I'll watch the girls. George can handle the counter. Elena looked at him. Her eyes were wet, but she wasn't crying. Not yet. Thank you, she whispered. Then she disappeared through the back door. Marcus knelt down to Sophia's level. The little girl was still crying, hiccuping sobs that shook her small frame. Hey, he said softly. Hey, it's okay. He's gone. Who was that man? Why did he make Mommy sad? Marcus hesitated. This wasn't his story to tell. But Sophia was looking at him with those big frightened eyes, and he couldn't just say nothing. That man. He knew your mommy a long time ago, before you were born. But he made some bad choices, and he hurt your mommy's feelings. That's why she's sad. Is he going to come back? No. Marcus made his voice firm, certain. He's not going to come back. And even if he does, your mommy has lots of people who will protect you. George, me, all the people in this cafe who love you. Sophia sniffled. You love me. Marcus felt his heart crack. Yeah, kiddo, I love you. Sophia threw her arms around his neck, nearly knocking him off balance. I love you too, train man. Lily had been watching the whole exchange with wide, confused eyes. Now she toddled over and wrapped her chubby arms around both of them, adding herself to the hug. So, she said. So, okay. Sophia laughed through her tears. She's trying to make me feel better. I think she is. George appeared beside them. His face was grave. I'm going to call the police, file a report, just in case that piece of... He stopped glancing at the children. Just in case he comes back. Good idea. You should go check on her. Elena. She's strong, but David always knew how to get under her skin. George's jaw tightened. Her father would have killed him. Literally killed him. I had to talk him down more than once after David left. Marcus stood up, still holding Sophia's hand. Can you watch them for a minute? Son, I've been watching kids in this cafe for 40 years. Go. Marcus found Elena in the storage room. She was sitting on an overturned crate, her head in her hands, her shoulders heaving with silent sobs. He didn't say anything. He just sat down beside her and put his arm around her shoulders. Elena turned into him, burying her face in his chest, and cried. I thought I was over it, she said between sobs. I thought I'd moved on. But hearing him say those things... He's wrong. Marcus's voice was fierce. Everything he said was wrong. But what if it's true? What if I can't do this alone? What if I've just been going from one man to another because I'm too weak to... Elena. Marcus pulled back, gripping her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. Listen to me. You are the strongest person I have ever met. You raised Sophia alone for 5 years. You built this cafe from nothing. You held your father's hand when he died, and then got up the next morning and made breakfast for your daughter. That's not weakness. That's strength. But you... I'm not here because you need me. I'm here because I need you. Marcus felt his voice crack. I spent a year alone, Elena. A year of thinking I could do everything myself. And I was wrong. I was falling apart. You saved me, on that train and every day since. So don't you dare say you're weak. Don't you dare let that man make you feel like you're not enough. Elena stared at him. Tears were still streaming down her face, but something had shifted in her eyes. Marcus. I love you. The words came out before he could stop them. Before he could think about whether it was the right time, the right place, the right anything. I love you, Elena. I don't know when it started. Maybe on the train. Maybe that first day I walked into this cafe. Maybe somewhere in between. But I love you. And I love Sophia. And I don't care what anyone thinks about how fast this is or whether it's appropriate or any of that. I love you. Elena's hand came up to touch his face. Marcus. You don't have to say it back. I know you're not ready. I know this is complicated. I know. Elena kissed him. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It wasn't tentative or uncertain. It was desperate and fierce and tasted like tears. When she pulled back, they were both breathing hard. I love you too, she said. I've loved you since you walked through that door 3 months ago. I've been too scared to say it. Why? Because everyone I love leaves. Her voice broke. My mother left. David left. My father. She couldn't finish. I'm not leaving. Marcus cupped her face in his hands. I'm not going anywhere. I promise you. You can't promise that. You don't know what's going to happen. No. But I can promise that I'll fight for this. Every single day, no matter what happens. I will fight for you and Sophia and this life we're building. I'm not David. I'm not your mother. I'm not going anywhere. Elena closed her eyes. A fresh wave of tears spilled down her cheeks. My father would have liked you, she whispered. He would have said you have honest eyes. George told me. Elena laughed a wet, broken sound. Of course he did. George tells everyone everything. It's part of his charm. They sat there for a long moment, foreheads pressed together, breathing each other in. Then Sophia's voice came from the doorway. Are you guys done kissing because Lily needs a diaper change and George says he doesn't do diapers? Elena burst out laughing, a real laugh, the kind that shook her whole body. How long have you been standing there? Long enough. Sophia had her hands on her hips, looking exactly like her mother. Is the train man going to be my daddy now? The question hung in the air. Marcus looked at Elena. Elena looked at Marcus. I don't know, baby, Elena said carefully. Maybe someday. We're still figuring things out. Sophia considered this. Okay. But if he's going to be my daddy, he has to learn how to change diapers. Grandpa always said that's the important part. Marcus laughed. Your grandpa was a wise man. The wisest. Sophia grabbed his hand. Come on. Lily really stinks. Marcus let himself be dragged out of the storage room, glancing back at Elena one last time. She was smiling, really smiling despite everything. Coming, he asked. Right behind you. She wiped her eyes. Always. The rest of the day passed in a blur. George called the police, who took a report and promised to increase patrols in the area. Mrs. Patterson from the bookstore brought over a plate of cookies and hugged Elena for 5 full minutes. Customers who had witnessed the confrontation stopped by to offer support, solidarity, outrage. By closing time, Elena was exhausted but somehow lighter. Like the encounter with David had lanced a wound she didn't know she'd been carrying. "Thank you," she said to Marcus as they cleaned up the cafe together, the girls playing in the corner. "For everything. You don't have to thank me. I want to." She stopped, turned to face him. "What you said to David. The way you stood up for me. No one's ever done that before. Not like that. Your father would have." "My father's gone." Her voice was matter-of-fact, not bitter. "But you were there. And that matters." Marcus reached out and took her hand. "I meant what I said. In the storage room. All of it." "I know." Elena squeezed his fingers. "I meant it too." Sophia came running over, Lily in tow. "Mommy train man. Look what Lily drew." She held up a piece of paper. It was another family portrait, 4 stick figures, 2 big, 2 small. But this time, there was something different. The 2 big figures were holding hands. "That's you," Sophia said, pointing to one of the tall figures. "And that's Mommy, and that's me and Lily." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "It's beautiful, Sophia." "I know." She said it without arrogance, just simple 5-year-old certainty. "Grandpa always said I was the best artist." Elena laughed, pulling Sophia into a hug. "Grandpa was biased. Grandpa was right." That night, Marcus drove home with Lily asleep in her car seat, Sophia's drawing carefully folded in his pocket next to the worn napkin he still carried everywhere. He thought about David, about the ugly words he'd hurled at Elena, about the fear in Sophia's eyes, about the way Elena had trembled in his arms. He thought about Julia, about what she would think of all this, about whether she would approve of Elena, of Sophia, of this strange new family he was stumbling into. He thought about the words he'd said in the storage room. "I love you." Words he hadn't said to anyone since Julia died. Words he'd thought he might never say again. And he realized something. He wasn't scared anymore. For the first time in almost 2 years, he wasn't scared of what came next. He wasn't scared of losing, of failing, of being hurt. He was just ready. Ready to try. Ready to fight. Ready to build something new from the ashes of what he'd lost. Julia had told him to find someone who loved Lily the way he loved her. He finally understood what she meant. The next morning, Marcus arrived at the cafe before it opened. He had Lily on his hip and a small box in his pocket. George was already there setting up chairs. "You're early," George said. "I need to ask you something." George stopped what he was doing. His eyes dropped to Marcus's pocket, to the shape of the box visible through the fabric. "Is that what I think it is?" "No." Marcus shook his head. "Not yet. It's too soon for that. But I wanted to give her something to show her I'm serious." "What is it?" Marcus pulled out the box and opened it. Inside was a simple silver bracelet with a small compass charm. George's breath caught. I know. Elena told me about her father's necklace, about the compass. I found this at an antique shop last week. I thought maybe—" He stopped suddenly, uncertain. "Is it too much?" "It's too much, isn't it? She's going to think I'm crazy." George laughed. He actually laughed, a deep rumbling sound that shook his whole body. "Son, you've been coming to this cafe every day for 3 months. You've changed diapers, colored pictures, and stood up to that waste of space who used to call himself Sophia's father. If that woman doesn't already know you're crazy about her, she's not the woman I raised." "You raised her." "Her father and I raised her together, after her mother left." George's eyes were distant, remembering. "Miguel was my best friend for 40 years. We did everything together, including raising a little girl who had too much fire for her own good." He smiled. "She's got her father's heart, too big for her chest, always giving, never asking. You're good for her, Marcus. Miguel would have approved." "You think so?" "I know so." George clapped him on the shoulder. "Now go. She's in the back starting the bread. Don't make her cry too much. We've got customers coming in an hour." Marcus found Elena exactly where George said she would be, kneading dough at the big table in the back. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun. She had flour on her cheek. She was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. "You're here early," she said without looking up. "I have something for you." Elena stopped kneading. Her eyes found the box in his hand, and something flickered across her face. "Marcus, it's not what you think." He set Lily down on the floor, where she immediately toddled off to explore. "It's not a ring. I know we're not there yet, but I wanted to give you something." He opened the box. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. "It's a compass," Marcus said. "Like your father's necklace. I know it's not the same. Nothing can replace what he gave you. But I wanted you to have something from me. Something to remind you that no matter how lost you feel, you'll always find your way home." Elena was crying. Again. But this time, she was smiling too. "Marcus, you told me your father said home isn't a place. It's the people who make you feel like you're not lost anymore." He took the bracelet out of the box. "You're my home, Elena. You and Sophia. Wherever you are, that's where I want to be." Elena held out her wrist. Her hand was trembling. Marcus clasped the bracelet around her arm. The compass charm caught the light, glinting silver and gold. "I love you," Elena said. "I love you too." "This is crazy. We've only known each other for 3 months. I've known you for 15 months, since the night you took my daughter out of my arms and saved her life." Elena laughed through her tears. "That's not how it works." "It's exactly how it works." Lily came toddling back, flour dust in her hair from something she'd gotten into. She looked up at them with Julia's eyes and smiled. "Mama," she said, reaching for Elena. "Mama." This time, Marcus didn't correct her. Elena picked Lily up, holding her close, the compass bracelet glinting on her wrist. "Are you sure about this?" Elena asked quietly. "About us? About everything?" Marcus looked at her. At this woman who had walked into his life on the worst night of his life and somehow made everything better. At his daughter in her arms where she belonged. At the flower on her cheek and the tears on her face and the love in her eyes. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Outside, the sun was rising. Inside, a family was being born. Not the family Marcus had planned. Not the family he'd expected. But a family nonetheless. And sometimes, that's how the best stories happen. 6 months later, Marcus stood in front of Julia's grave for the first time since her funeral. He had been avoiding this moment, finding excuses. Too busy with work. Too focused on Lily. Too wrapped up in his new life with Elena. But his mother had finally said the words he'd been dreading. "You need to tell her, Marcus. You need to tell Julia about Elena." So here he was, alone, the autumn wind cutting through his jacket, staring at a headstone that still didn't feel real. Julia Marie Chen, beloved wife and mother. Forever in our hearts. "Hey, Jules." His voice came out scratchy. He cleared his throat and tried again. "I know it's been a while. I'm sorry. I should have come sooner. He stopped. Swallowed hard. "I didn't know what to say." The wind picked up, rustling the leaves on the nearby oak tree. Marcus shoved his hands in his pockets. "Lily's walking now. Running, actually. You can't keep her still for a second. She's got your stubbornness, your determination. When she wants something, she goes after it with everything she has." He paused, feeling the familiar ache in his chest. "She looks just like you. Every day, more and more. Sometimes I catch her making a face, and it's like you're right there in the room with me. It hurts. But it's also..." He searched for the right word. "It's also beautiful. Like you left a piece of yourself behind." A car drove past on the road behind him. Marcus waited until the sound faded before continuing. "I met someone, Jules. Her name is Elena. She has a daughter named Sophia who's 5. He laughed softly. "They're amazing. Elena saved Lily's life on a train. She was choking, and I didn't even notice, and she just knew. She saved her. He crouched down, running his fingers over the cold stone. You told me to find someone. At the end, you said find someone who loves her like I love you. I didn't understand what you meant. I thought you were telling me to find a mother for Lily. But that's not what you meant, is it? The wind answered him with silence. You meant find someone who loves me. Someone who makes me whole again. Someone who gives me a reason to keep going when everything feels impossible. Marcus felt tears burning behind his eyes. I found her, Jules. I found her, and I love her. I love her so much it scares me. But I need to know... His voice broke. I need to know it's okay. I need to know you're not angry. I need to know that loving her doesn't mean I stopped loving you. He stayed there for a long time, waiting, for what he didn't know. A sign, a feeling, something. And then his phone buzzed. He pulled it out. A text from Elena. Sophia won't stop asking when you're coming home. Lily drew you a picture. I made lasagna. Come back to us. Marcus stared at the message. Come back to us. Home. He looked at Julia's headstone one last time. I'll always love you, he said quietly. Nothing will ever change that, but I have to live, Jules. I have to keep living. For Lily, for me, for the family you wanted us to have. Then, he pressed his palm against the stone, feeling the cold granite beneath his fingers. Thank you. For Lily. For everything. I'll make sure she knows who you were. I'll make sure she knows how much you loved her. I promise. He stood up, took a deep breath, and walked back to his car. Elena was waiting. The cafe was warm and bright when Marcus arrived. Sophia spotted him through the window and came running before he even made it through the door. Train man, you're back. Marcus scooped her up, swinging her around. Did you miss me? Yes, Mommy said you went to visit someone important. Was it Santa? Is it almost Christmas? Marcus laughed. Not quite, kiddo. I went to visit someone who loved Lily very much. Who? Lily's mommy, in heaven. Sophia's face turned serious. Like Grandpa. Yeah, like Grandpa. Sophia nodded solemnly. Did you tell her about us? About Mommy and me? I did. What did she say? Marcus set Sophia down and knelt to her level. I think she said she's happy. I think she said she's glad Lily has you and your mommy in her life. Sophia beamed. Good, because Lily's my best friend, and you can't take best friends away. That's the rule. Who made that rule? I did, just now. Elena appeared from behind the counter, wiping her hands on her apron. Her eyes searched Marcus's face, looking for something. You okay? She asked quietly. Yeah. And for the first time in almost 2 years, Marcus meant it. I'm okay. Elena crossed to him, wrapped her arms around his waist, and held on tight. I'm proud of you, she murmured into his chest. I know that wasn't easy. It wasn't, but it was necessary. He pulled back, cupping her face in his hands. I needed to say goodbye, properly, so I could be here, fully, with you. Elena's eyes glistened. Marcus, I love you. I've said it before, but I need you to know what I mean. I love you with everything I have. Not because I'm trying to replace Julia. Not because I'm filling a hole in my life. I love you because you're you. Because you're brilliant and stubborn and kind and fierce. And you make terrible coffee, but I drink it anyway because you're the one who made it. Hey, my coffee is not terrible. It's a little terrible. Elena laughed, shoving him playfully. Take it back. Never. George's voice boomed from behind the counter. Are you two going to stand there making eyes at each other, or are you going to help me with this dinner rush? Marcus looked around. He hadn't noticed the cafe was packed. Every table was full. There was a line at the counter. George, I don't work here. You eat here every day. You sleep with the owner. Close enough. George thrust an apron at him. Table 4 needs clearing. Table 7 wants their check. And the espresso machine is making that noise again. Marcus looked at Elena. She was grinning. "Welcome to the family business," she said. Marcus put on the apron. For the next 3 hours, he worked alongside Elena and George, bussing tables, running orders, learning the rhythm of the café. Sophia appointed herself Lily's official babysitter, keeping the toddler entertained in the corner with crayons and stickers. It was chaos. It was exhausting. It was the happiest Marcus had been in years. By closing time, his feet ached, his back hurt, and he had coffee stains on his shirt. But when Elena locked the front door and turned to him with that smile, the real one, the one that lit up her whole face, none of it mattered. "You survived," she said. "Barely. George says you have potential. George threatened to fire me twice. That's how you know he likes you. He threatened to fire me every day for the first year I worked here." Marcus collapsed into a chair, pulling Elena onto his lap. She went willingly, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Move in with me," he said. Elena froze. "What?" "Move in with me. You and Sophia. My apartment is too big for just me and Lily. Your place is too small for the 4 of us. Let's find something in the middle, something that's ours." "Marcus, that's too fast, I know. I don't care." He pulled her closer. "I've spent my whole life playing it safe, planning everything, preparing for every possible outcome. And you know what it got me? A dead wife and a year of grief so heavy I could barely breathe." Elena's eyes were wet. "Marcus, I'm done playing it safe. I'm done waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There's just now. And right now, I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to make breakfast for our daughters. I want to build a life with you. A real life. Not this half measure where I go home to an empty apartment and count the hours until I can see you again. It's not empty. You have Lily. You know what I mean." Elena was quiet for a long moment. Marcus felt his heart pounding against his ribs. "My father," she finally said, "told me something once. Right after David left. He said, 'Miha, love isn't about finding someone who completes you. It's about finding someone you want to be incomplete with.'" What does that mean? It means we're both broken, Marcus. We're both missing pieces, and we're not going to fix each other. We're not going to make each other whole. She touched his face gently. But we can be incomplete together. We can hold the pieces that are left and make something new. Is that a yes? Elena smiled. That's a hell yes. Marcus kissed her, long and deep and full of promise. From the corner, Sophia's voice piped up. "Are you guys kissing again? You're always kissing. It's gross." Elena pulled back, laughing. "Sorry, baby." "No, you're not." "No, I'm not." Elena turned to her daughter. "Sophia, come here. I need to tell you something." Sophia approached cautiously. "Am I in trouble?" "No, sweetheart. The opposite." Elena took her daughter's hand. "How would you feel about living with Marcus and Lily, all of us together in a new house?" Sophia's eyes went wide. "Like a real family." "Yes, like a real family." Sophia looked at Marcus, then at Lily, who was drooling on a crayon in the corner, then back at her mother. "Would I have to share a room with Lily?" "Probably not. We'd find a place with enough bedrooms for everyone." "Would Train Man make pancakes on Saturdays? He makes really good pancakes." Marcus grinned. "Every Saturday. Promise." Sophia considered this carefully. Then she nodded. "Okay, but I get to pick my room first, because I'm older." "Deal." Sophia threw her arms around both of them, creating a three-way hug that quickly became four-way when Lily toddled over to see what she was missing. George watched from behind the counter, pretending to wipe down a surface that was already clean. "About damn time," he muttered to himself. Then louder, "I'm locking up. You 4 can do whatever you want, but I'm going home. These old bones need sleep." George. Elena untangled herself from the family pile. Thank you. For everything. Don't thank me. Thank your father. He's the one who told me to keep an eye on you. George's voice was gruff, but his eyes were suspiciously bright. He'd be proud of you, Cass. Real proud. I know. Good. Now get out of my cafe. I'll see you tomorrow. They walked out into the cool night air, Sophia holding Marcus's hand on one side and Elena holding Lily on the other. So, Elena said as they reached Marcus's car, when do we start house hunting? Tomorrow. That's aggressive. I'm a man on a mission. Elena laughed. Fine, tomorrow. But I get veto power. On what? Everything. That doesn't seem fair. Welcome to relationships, Marcus. Nothing is fair. He kissed her again right there in the parking lot, not caring who might see. I love you, he said. I love you too. Elena buckled Lily into her car seat. Now take us home. Home. The word had never sounded so good. 3 weeks later they found it. A small house with a yellow door just 4 blocks from the cafe. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a backyard big enough for a swing set. It needed work, new paint, some repairs, a kitchen that hadn't been updated since the 80s, but it was perfect. We can't afford this, Elena said, staring at the listing. We can, if we're careful. Marcus, my cafe barely breaks even. Your job is... My job pays well enough, and I have savings. Julia's life insurance. He stopped the words catching in his throat. She'd want me to use it for this, for building something. Elena took his hand. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. The sellers accepted their offer that afternoon. Closing was set for 6 weeks out. But life Marcus was learning rarely went according to plan. The phone call came on a Tuesday. Marcus was at work in the middle of a meeting when his cell buzzed. Elena. She never called during work hours unless it was urgent. Excuse me, he told his colleagues, stepping out into the hallway. Elena, what's wrong? Her voice was shaking. He's back, David. He showed up at Sophia's school. Marcus felt his blood go cold. What? The school called me. He tried to pick her up, said he was her father. They didn't let him thank God, but Sophia saw him. She's terrified, Marcus. She won't stop crying. Where are you now? The cafe. George is here. But Marcus, I don't know what to do. I have a restraining order. How did he even know what school she goes to? I'm leaving right now. Stay there. Don't let Sophia out of your sight. Marcus hung up and grabbed his jacket. His boss tried to stop him. Something about the client meeting about deadlines, but Marcus was already moving. Family emergency, he said over his shoulder. I'll explain later. He made it to the cafe in 20 minutes. Elena was in the corner booth, Sophia curled up in her lap, both of them trembling. George stood guard by the door, like a sentinel. Daddy? The word hit Marcus like a lightning bolt. Sophia had called him Daddy. For the first time, he crossed the room in 3 strides and wrapped his arms around both of them. I'm here. I'm here. You're safe. He found me, Sophia whimpered. The scary man found me at school. He's not going to hurt you. I won't let him. Elena looked up at him, her eyes red-rimmed. He's escalating. First the cafe, now her school. What if he comes to the house? What if he... He won't. Marcus's voice was steel. I'm going to end this. Today. How? I'm going to find him. And I'm going to make it very clear what happens if he comes near any of you again. Marcus, you can't. Watch me. George stepped forward. I'm coming with you. George, you don't have to. That man terrorized my best friend's granddaughter. He shows up at her school like he has any right to be there. George's face was hard as granite. I'm coming. Marcus looked at Elena. Stay here. Lock the doors. Call the police and tell them what happened. I'll be back. Marcus. Elena grabbed his arm. Don't do anything stupid. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm going to do what needs to be done. He kissed her forehead, then Sophia's. Then he walked out the door with George beside him. They found David at a bar 3 blocks away. Of course they did. Some things never changed. Marcus pushed through the door. David was at the counter nursing a beer, looking like he didn't have a care in the world. We need to talk. David turned. When he saw Marcus, his face twisted into a sneer. Well, the boyfriend. Come to defend your woman's honor. I came to give you a chance. One chance. Leave town. Tonight. Never come back. Never contact Elena or Sophia again. Or what? Marcus stepped closer. Or I will make your life a living hell. I have money. I have lawyers. I have a restraining order that you just violated by showing up at a minor's school. 1 phone call and you're in jail. 1 more after that, and you lose any legal standing you might ever have hoped to claim. I have rights? You have nothing. Marcus's voice was quiet but deadly. You signed away your rights 3 years ago. You abandoned your daughter. You abandoned Elena. And now you're stalking them, showing up at a 5-year-old school. George moved to flank David's other side. You know what Miguel used to say about men like you? David's eyes flicked to George. Some of the bravado was starting to fade. I don't care what that old man... He used to say, there's a special place in hell for fathers who abandon their children. And an even worse place for the ones who come back to cause more pain. George leaned in close. You're looking at that worse place right now, son. Walk away while you still can. David's face reddened. You can't threaten me. I'm not threatening you. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm promising you, Detective Morrison of the Boston PD personal friend. I already sent him the security footage from Elena's café 3 months ago. He's been waiting for you to slip up. And guess what? Showing up at a school to collect a child you have no legal rights to. That's kidnapping, even attempting it. David went pale. I wasn't. I just wanted to see her. You wanted to scare Elena. You wanted to prove you still have power over her, but you don't. You have nothing. Marcus held up his phone. 1 call, right now, your choice. The bar had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. David looked at Marcus, then at George, then at the phone in Marcus's hand. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is. Marcus's voice was final. You have 24 hours to leave Boston. If I ever see you again, if you ever contact Elena or Sophia again, I will destroy you. And that's not a threat. That's a guarantee. David stood up. For a moment, Marcus thought he might swing. He braced himself ready. But David just grabbed his jacket and pushed past them toward the door. You're making a mistake, he said over his shoulder. She's not worth it. None of them are. Marcus watched him go. Then he turned to George. Think he'll leave? He's a coward. Cowards always run when someone stands up to them. George clapped Marcus on the shoulder. You did good, son. Miguel would be proud. I hope so. They walked back to the cafe together. Elena was waiting at the door, her face tight with worry. Is it done? It's done. Marcus pulled her into his arms. He's leaving. He won't bother you again. How can you be sure? Because I made it very clear what would happen if he did. Elena buried her face in his chest. I was so scared. When Sophia called you Daddy, I thought you might think it was too soon. Elena! Marcus tilted her chin up. She can call me whatever she wants. Daddy train man Marcus. I don't care what the word is. All that matters is that I'm here, for both of you. Always. Sophia appeared in the doorway, still clutching her teddy bear. Is the scary man gone? Marcus knelt down to her level. He's gone, sweetheart. And he's not coming back. I made sure of it. Promise. I promise. Sophia threw her arms around his neck. Thank you, Daddy. There was that word again. Daddy. It settled into Marcus's chest like a key finding its lock. You're welcome, baby girl. You're welcome. That night, after the girls were asleep, Sophia in her bed at Elena's apartment, Lily in her portable crib beside her, Marcus and Elena sat on the fire escape, looking out at the city lights. "I keep thinking about what could have happened," Elena said quietly. "If the school had let him take her, if he'd found her somewhere else. He didn't. But he could have." "Elena." Marcus took her hand. "You can't live your life thinking about what could have happened. Trust me. I spent a year doing that after Julia died. Every night I'd lie awake thinking about what I could have done differently. What if I'd noticed sooner? What if we'd gone to a different hospital? What if? What if? What if?" It nearly destroyed me. "How did you stop?" "Lily. Every morning she needed me. She didn't care about what could have happened. She only cared about what was happening right now. Breakfast, diapers, playtime, love." He squeezed her hand. "She taught me how to live in the present, and then you taught me how to hope for the future." Elena leaned her head against his shoulder. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." "I'm scared, Marcus. About everything. The house, the future. Whether I'm going to screw up Sophia the way my mother screwed up me." "You're not going to screw up Sophia." "How do you know?" "Because you care. That's the whole difference, Elena. You care so much it hurts. That's not the mark of a bad parent. That's the mark of a great one." Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I want to marry you." Marcus's heart stopped. "What?" "I know we said we'd take it slow. I know we're already moving fast with the house. But tonight, watching you stand up for my daughter, hearing her call you daddy, I realized I don't want to wait anymore." She turned to face him. "I want to be your wife, Marcus. I want Lily to be my daughter. I want Sophia to have a father who shows up. I want all of it." "Elena, if it's too soon, if you're not ready, I understand. I just needed you to know how I feel." Marcus reached into his pocket. He'd been carrying the ring for 3 weeks, waiting for the right moment, planning something romantic, a dinner maybe, or a trip to the place where they'd first met, something worthy of the moment. But sitting here on a fire escape with the city glittering below them and the woman he loved asking him to spend his life with her, this was the moment. This was always the moment. "I was going to ask you," he said, pulling out the small velvet box. "I've been carrying this around trying to figure out when. And I just realized there's no perfect when. There's only now." He opened the box. The ring inside wasn't fancy, a simple diamond on a silver band, but it had belonged to his grandmother and her grandmother before that. "Elena Reyes, will you marry me?" Elena laughed, that wet, beautiful laugh he'd fallen in love with on a train 2 years ago. "Yes," she said. "Yes, yes, yes." Marcus slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "I love you," he said. "I love you too." She kissed him long and slow and full of promise. "Now let's go inside. It's freezing out here, and we have a wedding to plan." They went inside together, hands intertwined, hearts full. And somewhere above them in the clouds, where grandpas and young mothers watched over the people they'd left behind, 2 souls who had never met, in life, smiled down at the family their children were building. The work was finally done. The wedding was small, just family, friends, and the regulars from the café who had become family over the years. Elena had wanted something simple. No grand ceremony, no 100 guests they barely knew. Just the people who mattered gathered in the place that mattered most. So on a Saturday morning in late spring, Luna Café closed its doors to the public for the first and only time in its 40-year history. George hung a handwritten sign in the window. "Closed for family business. Back Monday. Don't even think about complaining." Marcus stood at the front of the café near the window table, where Elena's father used to sit every morning. His hands were shaking. His tie felt too tight. His heart was beating so hard he was sure everyone could hear it. "Nervous!" George stood beside him, serving as best man. The old man cleaned up well, crisp suit, polished shoes, hair actually combed for once. Terrified. Good. That means you understand what you're getting into. George straightened Marcus's tie. Marriage isn't a fairy tale, son. It's work. Every single day. But the good kind of work. The kind that builds something. How do you know you never married? George was quiet for a moment. I loved someone once. A long time ago. Before you were born. Before Elena was born. She died young. Car accident. We were supposed to get married that summer. Marcus felt his chest tighten. George, I didn't know. Nobody knows. That's how I wanted it. George's eyes were distant. I spent 30 years thinking I'd missed my chance. That love only comes once, and I'd used mine up. Then I watched Miguel raise Elena alone, and I watched you raise Lily alone. And I realized something. What? Love isn't finite. It doesn't run out. Every person you love doesn't take away from the ones who came before. It adds to them. George met Marcus's eyes. Julia would want this. She'd want you happy. Just like my Maria would want me to stop being a stubborn old fool and actually live my life. Have you lived your life? George smiled. I'm here, aren't I? Watching a man I've come to think of as my own son marry the closest thing I've got to a daughter? Yeah, Marcus, I've lived. Maybe not the life I expected, but a good one. The cafe door opened. Mrs. Patterson from the bookstore poked her head in. They're ready. Elena's coming. Marcus's heart lurched into his throat. George clapped him on the shoulder. Showtime, son. Don't screw it up. The music started. Someone had set up a small speaker playing the song Elena had chosen, the lullaby her father used to sing, the one she'd hummed on the train, the one Lily still hummed every night before bed. Sophia came down the aisle first, scattering flower petals with the serious concentration of a 5-year-old entrusted with an important mission. She was wearing a yellow dress, the same shade as the door of their new house, and her dark hair was braided with small white flowers. Behind her came Lily, toddling unsteadily, guided by Marcus's mother on one side. She was 18 months old now, and she insisted on doing everything herself, even walking down the aisle at her father's wedding. Dada, Lily called out when she saw Marcus. Dada, look, I walking. The guests laughed. Marcus felt tears burning his eyes. I see you, baby. You're doing great. And then Elena appeared. She wasn't wearing white. She'd told Marcus early on that white felt wrong, like she was pretending to be something she wasn't. Instead, she wore a simple blue dress the color of the sky with her father's compass necklace gleaming against her collarbone and Marcus's bracelet on her wrist. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Elena walked down the aisle alone. No one to give her away. That had been her choice, too. My father already gave me everything I needed, she'd said. He taught me how to stand on my own. I don't need anyone to hand me off like property. She reached the front and took Marcus's hands. Her fingers were trembling. So were his. Hi, she whispered. Hi. You look terrified. So do you. Elena laughed softly. Ready to do this? I've been ready since the train. The officiant, a friend of George's who had known Elena's father for decades, cleared his throat. We are gathered here today to witness the union of two people who found each other in the most unlikely of circumstances. Two strangers on a train, two single parents, each carrying their own grief, their own struggles, their own fears, and yet somehow in the middle of all that darkness, they found light. Marcus looked at Elena. She was crying. He was too. Love doesn't always arrive when we expect it. Sometimes it comes crashing into our lives at the worst possible moment, demanding to be seen, refusing to be ignored. That's what happened to Marcus and Elena. They didn't plan to fall in love. They didn't want to fall in love. But love, as it turns out, doesn't much care what we want. Sophia tugged on the officiant's sleeve. Are you almost done? My feet hurt. The guests laughed again. The officiant smiled. Almost, sweetheart. Just a few more minutes. He turned back to Marcus and Elena. The couple has prepared their own vows. Elena went first. She took a deep breath, clutching a small piece of paper in her shaking hands. Marcus, when I met you, I was broken. My father had just died. I was raising Sophia alone. I was convinced that I would spend the rest of my life that way alone, struggling, pretending I had everything under control when really I was falling apart. She paused, her voice catching. And then, there you were, this exhausted, terrified man on a train holding a screaming baby like she was the most precious thing in the universe. And she was choking, and you didn't even know, and I... She stopped, wiped her eyes. I saved her. But Marcus, what you don't understand is that you saved me too. Every day since that train you've been saving me. By showing up. By staying. By loving my daughter like she's your own. By making me believe that maybe, just maybe, I don't have to do this alone anymore. Elena looked at Sophia, then at Lily, then back at Marcus. I vow to love you. Not perfectly because I'm not perfect, and neither are you, but completely. With everything I have. Through the hard days and the good days, and all the ordinary days in between. I vow to be your partner, your best friend, your family, for as long as we both shall live. Marcus's throat was so tight he could barely breathe. He hadn't written anything down. He'd tried a dozen times, but every attempt felt inadequate. So he spoke from the heart. Elena, 2 years ago I was a dead man walking. I got up every morning. I went to work. I took care of Lily. But I wasn't living. I was just surviving, going through the motions, waiting for something though I didn't know what. He squeezed her hands. And then you took my daughter out of my arms on that train, and everything changed. Not immediately, not easily, but slowly, day by day, you brought me back to life. You showed me that grief doesn't have to be the end of the story, that loss doesn't mean losing everything, that a heart can break and still learn to love again. His voice broke. He didn't care. I vow to love you, every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I vow to be the father Sophia deserves, and the husband you deserve. I vow to never leave, to never run, to stand beside you through whatever comes for the rest of our lives. He looked at Julia's ring on Elena's finger, the ring that had belonged to his grandmother, passed down through generations. My wife, my first wife, told me to find someone who loves her the way I loved her. For the longest time I thought she meant find someone to replace her. But that's not what she meant at all. She meant find someone who makes your heart whole again. Someone who gives you a reason to keep going. He met Elena's eyes. I found her. I found you. And I will spend every day of the rest of my life grateful that a crying baby on a train led me straight to you. The officiant was wiping his eyes. So was George. So was everyone. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Marcus, you may kiss your bride. Marcus pulled Elena into his arms and kissed her. The café erupted into cheers and applause. Sophia squeezed between them, demanding to be part of the hug. Lily toddled over seconds later, wrapping her tiny arms around Marcus's leg. And there they stood. A family. Imperfect, patched together, built from broken pieces. But whole. Finally, impossibly whole. George's voice cut through the celebration. All right. Save something for the honeymoon. We've got food to serve and a party to throw. The reception spilled out onto the sidewalk. Tables had been set up outside the café, covered in mismatched cloths, loaded with food that George and the regulars had been preparing for days. Someone had strung lights between the lampposts. Someone else had brought a speaker that was playing everything from oldies to pop hits. Marcus danced with Elena in the middle of the street while the guests clapped and cheered. He danced with Sophia, who stood on his feet and let him guide her around in circles. He danced with his mother, who cried through the entire song. and then George clinked a fork against his glass. "All right, everybody, shut up. I've got something to say." The crowd quieted. George stood in front of the cafe looking older and more tired than Marcus had ever seen him, but his eyes were bright. "I've known this family for a long time. Watched Elena grow up. Watched her become a mother. Watched her bury her father, which was the hardest thing I've ever witnessed." His voice wavered. "Miguel was my best friend, my brother in everything but blood. When he died, I thought I'd lost my reason for being here." He looked at Elena, then at Marcus. "But then I watched something miraculous happen. I watched a broken man walk into my cafe and fall in love with a broken woman. I watched two kids who had lost everything find each other and build something new. And I realized that Miguel didn't leave me alone. He left me a family." George raised his glass. "To Marcus and Elena, and may your love be as stubborn as Elena's coffee and as steady as Marcus's bad jokes. May your children drive you crazy and keep you young. And may you never ever forget that you're not alone. You've got each other. You've got those beautiful girls. And you've got me, whether you like it or not." "We like it," Elena called out, tears streaming down her face. "We love it. We love you, George." Yeah. George waved his hand dismissively, but his voice was thick. "Now drink up. This champagne wasn't cheap." The party went on until long after dark. One by one, guests said their goodbyes, hugs, and congratulations, and promises to visit soon. By the time the last stragglers left, it was nearly midnight. Marcus and Elena sat on the curb outside the cafe, Sophia asleep against Elena's shoulder. Lily passed out in Marcus's arms. The street was quiet. The lights were still twinkling overhead. "We're married," Elena said. "We are." "That's insane." "Completely insane." She leaned her head against his shoulder. "Best decision I ever made." "Second best," Marcus corrected. "What was the first?" "Getting on that train." Elena laughed softly. "I still think about it sometimes. What would have happened if I hadn't stood up? If I'd just stayed in my seat and let you figure it out?" "Lily would have died." "Maybe. Or maybe you would have figured out she was choking. Maybe someone else would have helped." "But it was you." Marcus shifted Lily to one arm so he could put the other around Elena. "It was always supposed to be you." "You believe that?" "I do now." They sat in silence for a while, watching the empty street, listening to the distant sounds of the city. "I want to take the girls somewhere," Elena said suddenly. "Tomorrow, before we move into the new house." "Where?" "The train station. I want to show them where it started, where their mom and dad met." Marcus felt something warm bloom in his chest. Mom and dad. That's what we are now, right? Yeah. He kissed the top of her head. That's exactly what we are. They went to the station the next morning. Sophia held Lily's hand as they walked through the crowded terminal. People rushed past them, consumed by their own destinations, their own stories. None of them knew they were walking past a family built from wreckage and hope. Marcus led them to Platform 7. The Boston train was boarding just like it had been 2 years ago when a stranger saved his daughter's life. "This is it," he said. "This is where it happened." Sophia looked around with wide eyes. "This is where you met Mommy." "Right here. She was sitting over there." He pointed to a bench near the platform edge. "And I was standing here with Lily trying to calm her down." "Was Lily crying?" "Screaming, so loud the whole station could hear." "And then Mommy came and fixed her." "And then Mommy came and fixed everything." Elena was standing a few feet away, holding Lily on her hip. She was watching them with tears in her eyes. Marcus walked over to her. "You okay?" "Just thinking." She adjusted Lily on her hip. "That night was the worst night of my life. I was coming home from burying my father. I was exhausted, grieving, barely holding it together. And then I heard a baby crying." "Why did you get up?" "I don't know. Instinct maybe, or something else." She looked at him. My dad used to say that when we're at our lowest, that's when we're capable of our greatest moments. Because we've got nothing left to lose. You saved her. I saved both of you. Elena smiled through her tears. And you saved me right back. Lily squirmed in Elena's arms, reaching for Marcus. Dada, Dada up. Marcus took her, settling her against his chest. She immediately grabbed his collar, playing with the buttons on his shirt. Mama? Lily said, pointing at Elena. Mama pretty. Elena's breath caught. It wasn't the first time Lily had called her that, but it still hit her every single time. Thank you, baby. Elena stroked Lily's hair. You're pretty too. Sophia tugged on Marcus's jacket. Daddy, can we get ice cream? Daddy. Mama. The words echoed in the station, mixing with the announcements and the footsteps and the rumble of arriving trains. Ice cream sounds perfect, Marcus said. Let's go home first, though. There's something I want to show you. They drove to the new house, the one with the yellow door. It was move-in day. Boxes were stacked in the living room. Furniture was still wrapped in plastic. The place was chaos, but it was their chaos. Marcus unlocked the door and let Sophia run in first. My room? Where's my room? Upstairs, second door on the left, just like we showed you. Sophia thundered up the stairs. They heard her shriek of delight when she found the room they'd painted purple exactly like she'd asked. Elena carried Lily into the living room, picking her way through the boxes. It's really ours, she said. It's really ours. I never thought I'd have this. She turned in a slow circle, taking it all in. A house, a family, a husband who actually shows up. Get used to it. Marcus wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. This is your life now. Yellow door, screaming kids, bad coffee, all of it. My coffee is not bad. Elena, sweetheart, love of my life, your coffee is terrible. She elbowed him in the ribs, laughing. Take it back. Never. Sophia came running back down the stairs. Mommy, Daddy, come look. You have to see what I found. They followed her up to the master bedroom. In the closet, tucked into a corner, someone had left something behind. A small wooden box, dusty with age. Can I open it? Sophia asked. Marcus nodded. Go ahead. Sophia lifted the lid. Inside was a collection of old photographs, yellowed with time. A young couple on their wedding day. The same couple holding a baby. A family standing in front of this very house decades ago. Who are they? Sophia asked. Marcus picked up one of the photos. On the back, in faded handwriting, Our first home, 1962, the beginning of everything. I think they were the people who built this house. He showed it to Elena. Look, they're standing right where we're standing now. Elena studied the photo. The young couple looked impossibly happy, impossibly hopeful. They started something here, she said quietly. Something that lasted. Now it's our turn. Marcus set the photo back in the box. He'd find a place for it later, maybe in the living room. A reminder that this house had always been about beginnings. They spent the rest of the day unpacking. George showed up around noon with lunch from the café and stayed to help arrange furniture. Marcus's mother came by with curtains she'd made herself. Mrs. Patterson brought a plant for the front porch. By evening, the house was starting to look like a home. Boxes were unpacked. Pictures were hung. The kitchen smelled like the lasagna Marcus had insisted on making from scratch. They ate dinner at the new table, a big wooden one that could seat 6 because Elena said they needed room to grow. Sophia talked nonstop about her purple room and how she was going to arrange all her toys. Lily smeared pasta sauce on everything within reach. After dinner, Marcus gave Lily a bath while Elena put Sophia to bed. Then they met in the hallway outside the girls' rooms. They're both asleep, Elena whispered. It's a miracle. First night in a new house. They were exhausted. So am I. Elena leaned against the wall. But I don't want to sleep yet. I want to remember this, how it feels, Our first night. In our house. With our family. Marcus took her hand and led her downstairs. They walked out onto the back porch and sat on the steps looking up at the stars. 2 years ago, Elena said, I was on a train going home to bury my father. I thought my life was over. I thought I'd spend the rest of it alone just trying to survive. What changed? You. She turned to face him. You were this exhausted, terrified man with a baby who wouldn't stop crying. And I should have just stayed in my seat. I should have minded my own business. But something made me get up. Something made me walk over and take that baby out of your arms. Fate. Maybe. Or maybe it was my father. Elena touched her necklace, the compass gleaming in the moonlight. He used to say that the people we lose never really leave us. They just find new ways to guide us. Maybe he guided me to you. Marcus thought about Julia, about her last words, about the way everything had somehow led him here to this moment, to this woman. I think Julia guided me too, he said. She told me to find someone, and I thought I was looking, but really I was just waiting for you to find me. Elena leaned her head against his shoulder. We found each other. We did. And we built this, together, from nothing. From 2 broken people on a train. It's not nothing. Marcus gestured at the house behind them, at the family sleeping inside. It's everything. It's the whole world. They sat in silence, watching the stars wheel overhead. Somewhere in the house, one of the girls stirred. A floorboard creaked. Then silence again. Marcus. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For staying. For fighting. For being the father my daughter needed, and the husband I never thought I'd find. Elena's voice was thick with emotion. Thank you for proving that people don't always leave. That sometimes they stay. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Marcus pulled her closer. Thank you for saving my daughter's life. For saving my life. For giving me a reason to keep going when I had nothing left. We saved each other. Yeah. He kissed her forehead. We did. A light came on in an upstairs window. Sophia's room. Mommy, Daddy. Sophia's voice drifted down. I can't sleep. Can I come down? Elena laughed. So much for our romantic moment. Welcome to parenthood. They went inside, collected Sophia from her room, and brought her down to the couch. She curled up between them, her head on Elena's lap, her feet in Marcus's. Tell me a story, she demanded. What kind of story? The train story. Tell me how you met Mommy. Marcus looked at Elena. She smiled. Once upon a time, Marcus began. There was a man who was very sad and very tired. He had a baby girl who wouldn't stop crying, and he didn't know what to do. That's you, Sophia said. And Lily. That's right. And on the same train there was a woman who was also very sad. She had just lost someone she loved very much. Grandpa? Sophia whispered. Yes, baby, Grandpa. Elena picked up the story. The woman was sitting in her seat trying to be strong, trying to hold everything together. And then she heard a baby crying. Lily. Lily. And the woman got up and she walked over and she did something very brave. She saved Lily's life, Sophia said. I know this part. She saved Lily's life, Marcus agreed. But that's not the end of the story. Because when she saved Lily, she also saved the man. She gave him hope when he had none. She showed him that even when everything seems impossible, there's always a chance for something good. And then you fell in love. And then we fell in love. And then you got married and bought this house and now we're a family. That's right. Elena stroked Sophia's hair. Now we're a family. Sophia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Do you think Grandpa and Lily's first mommy are friends? In heaven? Marcus felt his throat tighten. Elena's hand found his over Sophia's head. I think they are, Elena said. I think they're watching us right now, making sure we're okay. I think they made this happen, Sophia said with certainty. I think they wanted us to be a family, so they put you on the same train. Marcus looked at Elena. Her eyes were bright with tears. I think you're right, sweetheart, he said. I think that's exactly what they did. Sophia yawned hugely. That's a good story. Tell it again tomorrow. Every night if you want. Every night. She was asleep within minutes, her breathing slow and even. Marcus and Elena sat there, their daughter between them, their other daughter upstairs. Their life stretched out before them like an endless road. We should get her to bed, Elena whispered. In a minute. I just want to stay here. Like this. For one more minute. Elena nodded. She understood. They stayed there until the clock struck midnight. Then Marcus carried Sophia upstairs, tucked her into her purple bed and kissed her forehead. Good night, princess. Night, Daddy. He stood in the doorway for a moment watching her sleep. Then he joined Elena in their bedroom in their house, and pulled her close. I love you, he said. I love you too. Tomorrow's going to be chaos. Unpacking, organizing, the girls running everywhere. I know. And the day after that will be chaos too. And the day after that. I know. Marcus smiled in the darkness. I can't wait. Elena laughed softly. Neither can I. They fell asleep holding each other in a house with a yellow door surrounded by boxes and memories and hope. Outside, the stars kept watch. Somewhere in the distance, a train whistle sounded a late-night express heading toward some unknown destination. And in the room next door, a little girl hugged her teddy bear and dreamed of butterflies. Down the hall, a toddler who had once been saved by a stranger slept peacefully, humming a lullaby in her sleep. A family, built from broken pieces, held together by love. Sometimes the unthinkable isn't something terrible. Sometimes the unthinkable is simply this: a stranger who sees your struggle and chooses to help. A hand reaching out across an aisle. A lullaby hummed in the darkness. A piece of paper with an address scribbled on the back. Sometimes the unthinkable is love arriving when you least expect it, in the form you least expect from the person you would never have thought to look for. And sometimes, if you're brave enough to reach out, strong enough to hold on, and stubborn enough to never let go, the unthinkable becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. Marcus learned that on a train 2 years ago. He was still learning it now. And he would keep learning it every day for the rest of his life. Because that's what love is. Not a destination. Not a fairy tale ending. Just two people choosing each other again and again through every storm and every sunrise. That is the only happy ending that matters. And for Marcus, Elena, Sophia, and Lily, 4 broken souls who found their way home, it was just the beginning.